lot of people were saying how prompting is going to die, and you don't want that to happen. So for you to write an article like that, it would have taken you a long time. So I did that without deep research. So this is what happened.
Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to Amplify AI.
So this is what happened. I didn't click the deep research button and it gave me 50 tips. Great. Let's do that with deep research. What's the tone you prefer?
Conversational.
Then what would you like the tips, would you like them categorized or as a straight list?
Not as budgeting. What I do in AI is I tell it to make it inspirational, aspirational, and transformational. So in other words, we're taking them from where they are, which is a bad spot, to somewhere better.
Do you want any references to statistics or studies to add credibility? Yes, I'll say yes. Should the focus be on quick wins or a mix? Quick wins. So,
well, quick wins, but I also concentrate and that's where budgets fail. My program actually goes through to age 100. So it actually shows them the future rather than restricting them to the money in, money out. That's all I've got left. Life is over.
That's great. The specific is for you and your people. I'm showing you how, if you want to create something useful for your people, this is the way you would do that. And this is for anyone. So what happens right now is we kind of went, this is who I am. This is what my audience is. This is how I'm different. What I want to create is something that I can keep pointing people to. And I think we should all have that, not as a way to capture people, but it should capture people 100%. There should be maybe an email lead capture in there for sure, but it should be more to help them along their way. So maybe in 90 days, in 60 days, in a year, in 2 years, they become a client. So what it's done is, if you see on the right-hand side, it's thinking, right? So it's first arranging the articles into 3 sections. It is outlining the high impact actions like salary negotiation. Is getting data on women's financial confidence. See, that's fascinating for me because this is very agent-like behavior. Still not an agent yet, but agent-like behavior. So I want you to understand the difference. Then it searched for women financial confidence statistics. It found that. That's crazy, which I didn't know myself. And so this is what it's doing is it's fine. Even for someone who knew things about podcasting, for example, when you saw my example, there were things in there that it would take me a long time to get to because I'm so in my thing, you know? So then here I'm noticing that less than half of women over 25 have retirement savings compared to men's median savings. Additionally, 67% of women fear outliving their savings, a pressing concern given their longer life expectancy. That's crazy. So just think about the thinking here, right? This is why the $200 makes so much sense because it's taken over thinking. It's done all that. Again, you might know all that, but for you to put this in an article in the time that it's doing it right now, in the way it's doing it, is not possible. It's not humanly possible to do that. So I would assume that is basic, that anyone who has a business knows their stuff. I think that's a given. I feel that's like a restaurant saying, I serve good food. You're supposed to. It's like a given. So I wonder whether if we gave it for women in a particular age group, whether that would even change the report even more.
So the target audience originally, the avatar was a 47-year-old woman, recently divorced with 2 teenage children, looking back on the past, having nothing, looking forward to the future for the next 20 years. How am I going to cope? What am I going to retire on? I've got nothing to start with. And that's basically a situation for probably around about 50% of women going forward. And my advice to them all is buy yourself a camper van so you have somewhere to sleep.
So it depends on where you're in the world, obviously, and it depends on where you lived. But in Australia, living is it's ridiculously easy. Coming from a place like India, because I got to Australia when I was 21, and everything was just so easy. You see the difference. There's a huge difference, obviously, in what lifestyle looks like, and also in terms of support. Like the Australian government is, compared to a lot of other governments, extremely supportive. And I used to be a financial advisor for 2.5 years. So I used to go into homes and meet people who literally would put all their savings into something and lose it all. And it was just like heartbreaking. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I did it for like 2 years and I was like, I can't do this. It's so heartbreaking.
I did it for 20 years and I loved doing what I was doing because I was helping protect families and helping them for their futures, which is all well and good. I mean, I'm not ratting on about financial planners, but at the end of the day, in today's economy, women find it very difficult to find a place once a relationship breaks down, especially if they've got kids trying to find a home. Maybe not where you are, but in the main cities, it's a big deal. So there's a lot of stuff on women about being able to cope after divorce and relationships. I mean, look at what's going on. Not that we want to start going down that track because that's got nothing to do with this. But yeah, women do have it hard. So they're looking for help.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the most underused tactics in business is SEO, like on your website being found by a search term. And what would people normally search for is, I don't know, in this case, I'm running out of money before the month gets over and I need some help on how I can make that, not a catastrophe or something that would affect maybe. So you're trying to come up in a search for all those searches that your people are trying to do. And not only that, in your email signature, you're saying, if you are a woman and want 50 ways that you can actually manage your money right now, here's a link. So because everyone's clicking on that link and because people are being referred to, hopefully all these references that are in here, when you link to them, they will accept the link and then that article grows in value on the internet. Then this becomes a very valuable piece of real estate on your website. And that's what I'm trying to create here for you. And you've got to create that for your audience. So it did that research. If you look, it took 7 minutes, 22 sources, and it did it according to the 3 categories. It gave you references. So this is the inspirational piece, educate yourself. So this is obviously taking my voice style, and that's why it's writing it like this. So you'll have your own voice style. This might be tackle high interest debt first, might be like a obvious thing, but it's not obvious to everyone. And I've seen that in person.
That's right. I mean, you would tell them, you would say, simple answer is spend less than you earn, pay the highest interest debt first. And they would look at me as if there was something I was keeping back from them. It can't be as simple as that, but it is. And this happens with a lot of people. I mean, everything you're pulling up there is just, for me, generic.
Yeah, but it's not for you. You're not the audience.
I get that. Yeah. I understand that.
And that's the mistake that we make a lot, is that we think it's not for us at all. In fact, the more you can say, the better. And this, I'm saying this, I'm talking about, I got this from Gary, who told me straight up that I'm not saying the same thing and repeating because I think I want to be smart. And he was totally right, because I wanted to sound smart. I kept changing because I've heard it so many times, but I've got to repeat it so many times that it's boring as fuck for me, but everyone knows to repeat it. They know exactly what I am. They know exactly what I stand for. And that's as simple as that. And in this instance, it's not for you to know. This is for you to create a resource. So don't mix the 2 things up. It's a very different reason to create this. And this is only a start, by the way. And I thought this was fantastic to be able to create something like this. And this is just me, using you as an example. Thank you for that. That was very, very useful, I think, not only for me, but for everyone.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you not say in your own podcast that you were sourcing previous podcasts and that your sample experiment in the last day or 2, it was pulling information from your own material? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, that was one of my examples. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so, because I know I have moments of genius and I also have a plethora of information. I'm working on something. I'm a little time crunched. I could lose it. I can't find it. But what you're showing us is that not only can you cull all that information from the world, from all the schmees, but yourself. I mean, your podcast, you've had shows with subject matter experts on there. You could try to remember it. And some of us are really good at that. And some of us are terrible at it. But this is pulling it for you. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, there's your,
And
you're a podcaster. Sorry, you're a podcaster. And if you increase your viewership or your listeners by 10%, and then you go out and you attract a new sponsor, there's your business case right there. One of probably many where you can justify $2,400. Boom, done, piece of cake. It is amazing. I'm not there yet. I'm not
no,
there
100%.
with my own use case, but
to your point, if you noticed, like when it comes up, nobody's like, oh yeah, I know that. When it comes up, you know it for sure. Like no one's denying the expertise or the credibility.
Yes.
It's more like, can they all be in one spot? Or can it be, if you've already has podcasts out or already has articles written, then just create this on those from those articles and just kind of reference them. That's a way to do it. But again, this is a very specific use case, and the use case is to create a big guide that becomes the center pillar for your audience to always go to. And not only do they go to it, they tell other people who are the same to, hey, this is great resource that I think you should check out. It's as simple as that. It's nothing other than, this is my spot, my real estate on the internet. And then you can start creating social around it as well and start to like really, really boost that. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, thanks for showing us this. And you know, I got a couple of newsletters I listen to, and I mean, I'm not the power user that you are, but I am so grateful. And I mean, it's a moving target that's moving light speed. You bring stuff up every week, and I just think, thank you, you know. And then I mention it to my peers who are all developers, engineers, they're smart people, PhDs, and they're like, where are you getting this from? read Amplify AI. Talk to Ronsley. No, I'm really grateful to be here. Always.
Thank you, Scott. You're making me blush, even though you can't see it on my brown skin. You know.
You were beaten as a child and never loved, right? So we gotta fix you up.
Thanks.
I wonder if that's really interesting, like how it does the research. Is it like, have you played around with it yet? Without you can give it your own context or your own private files to research?
I didn't give it my private files, but I did give it my website and my podcast. So
really about like, I'm thinking about like in our company, we have like we have things behind a firewall. And then if you expose that and say, look at, because I think about onboarding new employees, right? And they don't know what to ask. It's like, hey, can you build an onboarding plan off of all the data that you have out there?
Yeah, you could do that. I would be, again, this is a privacy thing that I feel is really, really important to address. So the US companies do an amazing job at marketing themselves as the credible people, and an amazing job at pointing at the others who don't look like them as the ones that are not doing the right thing. So it's across the board. I feel this, I'm tool agnostic. That's why I have all these different accounts. I don't propose any tool. I think they're all, the goal is intelligence. And I don't want to be an intelligent being that fears intelligence. I just want to, intelligence is intelligence. It's just, doesn't matter where it comes from. So if there's stuff that is already behind a firewall and there's a reason it's behind a firewall, I would not put it here. I wouldn't. So that goes for any financial stuff, that goes for people's data, that goes for, even if you remove their names and put their data, that's just not right. And please don't do that. Even if you've done it in the past, just assume it never happened and just don't do it again. But on the other hand, if you took this same tool and say, look at all the onboarding stuff that exists, this is my business, this is who my people are, this is how, these are some of the steps that we use to onboard them. Can you create for me a more comprehensive onboarding process? That's different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think a lot of the questions that we come up with is like, I think about like all the training sessions we've done internally and like on our products and things like that are just, it's hard to like get that knowledge into somebody who's starting out. So it's like, how could you aggregate all that? Like creating internal like tools that look at that you can use internally. That to me is really interesting. I mean, that wouldn't be exposed. I mean, I know there's open source models that you could possibly use to bring that in-house to avoid that. But I mean, your point's well taken. If it's like, as soon as you expose, you're putting it on the internet, as soon as you put it in the model, there's always that risk. So, but it just seems like that's a huge win if you can figure out how to firewall that, keep it.
Oh, you can. You can. I did a free training, like not last one, the one before that on DeepSeek and how to install it locally on your computer. And on your local computer, you can do what the fuck you want. You can like literally cut Wi-Fi and your computer is a Faraday cage. And all the intelligence lives here, and you can put whatever you want in it and it'll do. And we installed DeepSeek R1, which is the reasoning model. So it is pretty powerful for a local model that you could totally use. Yeah, and I would highly recommend you looking. I would highly recommend any company that has anything behind a firewall to explore local models on their own computer and not use OpenAI or Gemini or DeepSeek, or even DeepSeek I wouldn't use on the web. It's very different to having it on your computer. And that's the difference. I can't have OpenAI on my computer because it's not very open. DeepSeek is open. So, Menno, I wish you could tell us. He's just bought the $200 ChatGPT and is doing research right now, which is crazy because he's been doing this dartboard of clarity. And I know because Nat has been telling me that. And Menno, I know you can't respond back, but you have your dartboard of clarity and you have who your audience is. So use your audience, and from that audience, create multiple articles on your website that become searchable and findable, because you have a very specific niche. All right, team. I love doing this, by the way. So I love that you're here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for playing. I think next week, I've got some really cool ones coming up. How to use AI to transcribe everything for free. You don't even have to have a transcription paid service anymore. I've got that coming up. I've got a few other things coming out. I've got how to create a whole content calendar and write the content just like you. It's more about you getting the results. All right. Thanks, team. Talk to you soon. Have a good one. Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to amplifyais.com. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI geek. Until then, much love.